Yo.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, your volume's perfect.
Nice.
Very rarely that actually happens, I feel like.
Yeah, I've watched some of the other VODs. I checked just beforehand.
Okay, nice. Um,
Um,
okay, so let's just start with the intro and then we'll hop into like what you want to talk about. So
okay.
just give your tag, where you're from, how long you've been playing, and goals for Melee. And this will kind of like introduce you to anybody watching.
Okay, yeah. KcBlue. I'm a Marth man from Kansas City area. Been playing started around like 2021. It's about 3 years now. Goals are to just become the best, but at the moment, college is in the way for now.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like get as good as you can until you have time to really go hard on it.
Yes, I'm actually in my I actually just wrapped up my finals about like a week ago. So I'm on my last like summer break where I'm not gonna be I start my like last year next year, so I have like this summer to really get some grinding and then I'll be back to the grindstone like school
Yeah, yeah, I see. Okay.
daily. But
Hopefully it'll be a fun summer. I'm
yeah, yeah,
probably,
yeah.
I think I'm going to a Kansas tournament in June. I don't remember the name, like June 20th or something like that. So,
Okay, yeah, I think there's some stuff going on then. I think I don't know if you know Wolgi from that area,
yeah,
but yeah, should be there.
I
Be a
love
fun
Woogie.
time. Yeah, super chill guy.
All right, cool. So what is the goal of the lesson today? What are we going to talk about?
Oh, real quick, were you for me to watch like your screen, were you gonna share your screen through here or should I just go to your
I'm going
Twitch?
to share the screen through Discord.
Okay, cool. Um, sorry, what was your question then?
Um, what are we going to do today? What are your thoughts? Like, what's the lesson for, and what are you thinking?
Um, uh, Last 2 weeks been on the Falco grind. There's like three Falco players that are like kind of around my level, and I'm just like ready to just stop going like even or slightly losing. So I'm just trying
Mm-hmm.
to grind Falco out until I feel better about it. I got So for today, I was thinking we could look at VODs and then also just like talk about gameplay and stuff. I'm
Okay.
curious whether you have a preference. Oh, and then I also that super long message. I You can look at it if you want. It's not really important. It's just like a running like it's like any thoughts I have, but that's we don't really need to look at that too much. I just kind of included it in case. But we have Slippy VODs that we could look at, and then we have YouTube VODs. So whichever you're more comfortable like navigating. I know
Okay.
Twitch
Are
can
they
be
of like
annoying.
the same set or?
No, it's this the YouTube. It's versus the same player. It's like a Bo 5 that goes to game 5, and it's one of the Falcos in my region. She's really good, and one of them was from like a tournament like a week ago, and then one of them was from last night when I hit her up and was like, "Hey, I want to VOD versus you for this lesson," and Twitch deleted the tournament one, but then I found it on YouTube. So whichever one you prefer, Slippy or YouTube.
Okay, I think I'm gonna pull up the YouTube one for now. Um,
Okay, it's an hour in, at one
okay,
minute in. Yeah, I had the timestamp there, but it shouldn't jump there in YouTube or anything.
okay, okay, cool. I'm gonna stream to you right now.
Seamus. Sorry, my cat keeps jumping up on the computer.
You're
A little
good.
bit.
They're always like,
All right.
"But I'm here. Pay attention to me." Okay, stream
All
is
right.
working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All good to go.
Okay. So, what are your like? What's your plan in this matchup, or what would you say? Like, what both? What is your plan? Like, kind of just like a general overview, and then what do you feel like goes wrong that prevents you from winning it? Also, give me 3 seconds. I'm going to turn on my fan. It's actually really hot in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I have a pretty solid like game plan and like for every character except Falco. How my improvement
Mm-hmm.
for Falco has gone over the last 3 years is like day one, it was I can't get away from these lasers and down airs, and then I learned like take laser, dash back, like pivot grab after their down air, and
Mm-hmm.
then that stopped working, and then I learned about like short hop, like take laser fair, and
Mm-hmm.
then that like put me up the ranks a little bit longer, and then it kind of
Just that is
plateaued.
enough to beat so many Falcos.
It's yeah, it's absurd. And then I kind of put the two together, like the take laser dash back, and then
Mm-hmm.
like the take laser fair, but like there wasn't there wasn't like really any thought behind it. Like it was just like, okay, if I feel like I'm constantly getting hit for take laser dash back, I'll switch it up to take laser fair, and then
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. But there was no like, oh, okay, I'm looking for this for like to do like the take laser dashbacks or anything. Like I was just like randomly mixing up the two options as opposed to like looking at what they're trying to do. I feel like with Falco
Mm-hmm.
that's so hard because like lasers, like laser heights and all that shit is just like so ambiguous, and it's like I don't really
Yeah.
understand Falco just like as a character. But then
Mm-hmm.
after like take laser fair, I like did moved on to like power shield nair, um power shield
And Power
power shield
Shield
mix
what?
up. Power shield just like general mix ups like power shield
Mm-hmm.
air, power
Power
shield,
Shield like Wave Dash stuff.
yeah, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then so like I've just kind of slowly like packed on like these things that just like kind of work and will just like kind of give me a tech chase or a grab or a knockdown somehow. But like that core problem of like I don't really know like when this should work or shouldn't work is like just like the spacing and like if they do like a laser then come in like sometimes take laser fair works, sometimes take laser fair does not work.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so my improvement around Falco is just like find one more little thing. So like you don't see it in this set, but in the other set you see me do a lot of down tilts because I'm trying to do like Z power shielding. It's just like little very micro things where I feel like I'm missing like a bigger picture thing.
Yeah,
um
like I'm looking at this list of like things you sent me of like options and stuff like that. And
mhm.
I feel like this is you're definitely right that there's a like you're trying to fix all these little things, but it's definitely not that. And I can say that before I even look at like the VOD. Like these are all things that like a really good Marth who's already really good against Falco should be thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these little ones like, oh, I got to SDI all the dares, and I got a light shield, and I gotta like make sure that like I do the perfect power shield into like jumping over the next laser, like that type of thing. Like all of that is like a little bit too much. So I'm gonna take a
Yeah.
look and I'm gonna see what I see, and then we'll talk about it. And I have some ideas just from like listening to you talk about it, how I might explain it, but I want to take a look first.
Okay, one last thing
Yeah.
is with this Falco in particular, sorry, I have notes for her summer. Okay, so it starts off I feel like we start off okay, but like her win condition for this match, like for this like player versus player matchup is like getting me in shield in the corner and then just like calling out just atrocious rolls. Like I'll do like a lot of like dash back,
Mm-hmm.
or shield laser or dare, and then like C stick buffer roll in, and then she just eats that shit up, and then that's it. So like she won't do it right off the bat, game one or game two, but usually by game three, four, and five, like she can just get on my ass and I can just not get away, and then like power shield roll, power shield whatever is just like whatever, get dared at
Yeah,
smash
that
you.
makes sense.
But
Okay.
yeah, we can get
Yeah,
into
I have,
that.
like I said, I have a bunch of ideas just after listening to you what it might be, but I just want to take a look. That's side B. Okay. Okay, I like the Nair. I think if you have time, this is really small, but if you have time here to like short hop or whatever, it's way better than the jab. The jab is actually pretty bad against Falco because he can shorten the ledge and get around the jab.
Was the answer not just like another jab?
No, you want to I imagine if you had jumped here and you got fair jab or fair F smash here, he would or fair down tilt or something. Like the fair just gives you like an extra hitbox
Okay.
there really quick. Whereas the jab it doesn't hit as wide like range wise, as high or as low, and it takes a lot more time. Like you can't you can fair shield if you wanted to shield this, but you can't jab shield. You know, it's
Okay.
just like more committal, and I don't think it's as good against Falco. Um, One thing. Okay, never. I'm gonna wait a little bit to talk about it. Okay, I like the fairs you're doing. I like the down smash there. You're doing a lot of small things well, which actually makes sense because that's how you're like trying to improve is by improving on the little things. I'm like, oh, okay, I like those things. Hmm. Probably just gonna watch the rest of this game.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, like right there. Sorry, that was one of the things
Yeah.
I do. I power shield the next one and then buffer roll in, and like it works now, but like in two
Yeah,
games,
that is not. Yeah, that's definitely not the play.
that's not good.
No, like you don't want to basically roll. Like if you roll in this matchup as Marth, it's usually not good.
Okay.
He has a lot of really good pressure options on the roll, and like usually you're only going to be rolling out of the corner anyway. And okay, so the corner in this matchup is huge. Like it's massive, especially from the Falco end. Like from the Marth, if you're in the corner, like you don't feel that bad. You just can't really do anything. You kind of end up like going back to ledge and like stalling a bunch and like it's just kind of like it takes a while to get out of the corner. Like it doesn't feel good, but you don't feel like you're just instantly gonna die every time you're in the corner. Whereas Falco a lot of times does. If Falco's in the corner, he kind of turns into like a laserless Falco because if he lasers and you F smash or nair or anything, he just insta dies.
Mm.
So Falco really like just this whole matchup is kind of played around like who is gonna corner who. That's really big. Falco gets such crazy control when you're in the corner, and he gets to play these really good neutral spots. And then when he's in the corner, he's just at risk of insta dying. Um, and so the role is sort of like I want to get out of the corner now, so I'm gonna use this bad option to get out of the corner because maybe it'll work type of option. Not saying
Mm.
that's what you're thinking, but that's the type of option it is. And like it just takes a long time. You really want to like work your way out of the corner. Like I would say that like when Falco corners you, you should expect it to take a little while to actually get out. Like if you go to like the side plat and you wave land off and you go to the ledge or you just like wave land double jump, like you can kind of like use the platform to sort of like hold on and then kind of like wall here. It's not great, but it's better than just trying to like roll out is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
And if you're in a position where you feel the pressure to roll, you should basically recognize that like, oh, okay, they already got me. Like if Falco gets you in the corner, he's already won at that point. Like he's won the neutral usually like a few times, like to some extent, like getting little bits of advantage here or there and pushing you back. And so if you end up in the corner and you want to roll, just kind of accept like, I'll probably just like work my way out pretty slowly. It's pretty annoying to work your way out. I think usually the best way is the side plat if you can, like just go up to the outer edge of the side plat here, and then you can kind of just like hang. He has a difficult time pressuring this against Marth because of the drop fair. He doesn't really feel comfortable going down to this area because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, but just assume it's gonna take a while in that spot. I'm trying to like organize my thoughts on exactly how to like express the thoughts I have because I don't talk about this matchup all that often, even though I feel like I understand it pretty well. Um, so, So if Falco stays in place, you're not in any danger, and he doesn't have a way to like close the distance like as fast as Fox. Like he can't basically do a laser and then dash in and like cover a huge amount of space like Fox can. So he covers most of his space by jumping. Like he can't just like run across the entire stage. He can, it just kind of takes forever. So his options are sort of like, assuming we're not going to count any platform stuff, we can talk about that later. He has kind of like, he's going to jump in place, he's going to retreating jump, or he's going to approaching jump. And each one of these kind of have, and like a little bit of nuance or like extra mix-ups. Like he can do like an approaching jump, but he can like fade back. Or he can do an approaching jump and do an aerial or a laser. That type of thing. But those are like kind of the three chunks you want to like think about. Like, is Falco going to come in? Is Falco going to stay in place, or is he going to retreat? And if you can get him to retreat, it's almost always good for you. The only thing you need to worry about is him coming right back in immediately after retreating. That's just like a sort of like general thing. Because if he retreats and then plays in place again, he's putting himself into the corner most of the time. Like if you're in this type of spot, if you're in the center, it's a little, or if you're in the corner and he's in the center, it's a little different. But generally, your goal is going to be, because him jumping away is safe for you and jumping in place is safe for you, your goal is basically going to be covering him jumping in as often as possible. And so the issue with the dash back to cover the aerial is that it loses a lot of times to the approaching laser, and it struggles a little bit with the fade back aerial. Like, you'll whiff a grab here, and then he'll just jump after his fade back and hit you again. So the sort of like runaway grab type of thing is not as good against Falco as it is against Fox. Like, not even close. And it like, okay, what I should say, it's easier to dash back grab Falco if he does a bad aerial, but he's less likely to do like a jump in aerial because he knows that he's slower than you. Fox is faster than you, so he's like, oh, I'll just cross you up and get you, and then you can like make a read on that and get the grab. With Falco, if they're playing well, you're not gonna get a lot of those. I would say that if the Falco plays really well, you're not gonna get any. And so you can kind of like remove that from the main play of the matchup. It's more like one of those things, like if you're playing neutral and this Falco just keeps doing the dumbest aerials known to man, then you can get like the grab. But honestly, because Falco doesn't have Fox Drill, he doesn't have like Fox's shield pressure options, which are better against like shield grab stuff, then like a lot of times you can just beat, instead of doing like the dash back grab or like dash back pivot grab thing, you could do like just shield and like just shield the early aerial that you were reading was coming, like that you were reading with the dash back anyway, except the shield will it's a little bit different based on the positioning. You can kind of do a thing where if you dash in and shield and they do the full distance down air, a lot of times you can get like a down air out of shield depending on what they do, and then if they land in front you get the grab, and then if you're a little bit further away, then like you can just react to the drift and get like a grab or something like that. So the main lesson here is that you don't necessarily want to get out of the way of Falco approaching aerials, you want to challenge them. Or like approaching jumps, I should say. So generally, I think the best option is like Nair is really good, Fair is really good, Up Tilt is not as good because it's laggy. But I think like the Fair and the Nair and the Shield are really the options that you want to be thinking about a lot when you're playing against Falco. Does everything I've said so far make sense? I'm just going to kind of like keep going with it if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
The biggest like disagreement I have, which is coming across more aggressive than I mean it, but like I just don't see why shield would be like, I don't know, whenever I'm in shield versus Falco, I just feel like toast. Like I don't see how like
so yeah. Really, yeah, I can explain it. Basically, if you get caught in shield and Falco is pressuring your shield, that is bad for you. But if you do like a direct counter by reading an early aerial with a shield, then it's just literally like a direct counter to his move.
Oh, okay.
It's a proactive shield rather than like a defensive shield. Like you're being like, oh, like it's like, let's say in this situation, if you think that Falco is going to do a short hop down air, let's say like here, like they're gonna do like a fade back down air or something after this laser, you could take this laser right here, which is probably gonna hit you about here, and then do dash shield. And like the shield isn't reactable for Falco. They're playing this laser mix-up right now. So they had to make their choice ahead of time. They can't react to this shield and do like a move. And like let's say they do this laser and you dash shield and they back off. Then you can just wave dash back at a shield and reset. But it's like and like what I was saying is that the shield is not always the best. It is an option, and it's a really good option against Falco. Like really, really good. But I think that most of the time the spacing makes it so that something like a Nair or a Fair ends up a little bit better just because like it's more like reliable. A lot of times you're in the air already. Like not in the air already, but like you kind of like what was I gonna say? Like in the air already. But that like I don't know, you're kinda like basically the shield is a little bit more committal, like as you said. Like if he does a mix up that's what's the best way to say it? The aerials are just less committal in general than sort of doing like shielding and stuff like that, and there's a lot less ways that it can go negative. Because if you put out your Nair, then a lot of times Falco, it just kind of turns into like a stalemate to have the Nair out. So what I mean is you're kind of gonna be doing a lot of aerials anyway against Falco, like doing the Nair and like jump up and get the Fair and stuff like that. So, like, in general, you want to use the Nair or Fair here, but I also think the shield is really good to call out the early aerials. And the idea is you just want to be proactive about the shield instead of getting pressured with it, and that's what makes it good. Is everything I'm saying kind of making sense, or is there still something that's not really, like, lining up?
It feels just like something where I'll just have to, like, just go play a bunch of Falcos and start using, because I never ever like run up shield as like I only use like how you say like defensive shields, so I'll just have to like do that a bunch and then come back to this VOD and like I don't know, maybe see if things fall more into place. But
yeah, like Falco's low-key like the only character in the game that it's really good against. So it's just kind of like a strange spot. Okay, so
is it good against Marth? I feel like I've played Falcos that like they just ran in and instead of like CCing or something, they just like shield, and then I have to like get away in case they did like a shine out of shield or like a dare out of shield or something.
Okay, wait a sec. Okay, I'm just gonna make a quick save state for it. Oops. So something like that. Oh, I reset it before I did something. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. You take laser and then you run in and you shield it, and you get it on the early aerial, like before he starts falling, and it just gives you like a free punish on this. Whereas like if I do this and he fades back slightly, so like if I do this, then I still get this. Because I'm not doing this, I'm just doing that. So it's like the run-up shield will give you the access to like punishing both of those early aerials, whereas the dash back does not.
Okay.
And a lot of times the Nair is really good because the Nair will kind of like cover that, or the Fair. Sorry, my Marth text feels awful. I'm not used to the 4-frame jump squat. But yeah, you get something like this, and that's good on his jump in, or the Nair is good on the jump in, or the jump or the dash and shield is good. Those are basically like the three options that are really good in that spot. You can kind of go for something like this sometimes, but I wouldn't super recommend it. But basically the idea is that when he jumps in, and you are reading the jump in some manner, you want to make sure that you are like putting something more proactive out instead of just dashing back, because this just pushes you into the corner.
Okay.
So it's like it's more of like a wall type angle, and then the shield is just kind of like an extra option there. And so if Falco doesn't come in, like he does that, 1 sec. So he does something like that, then like I'm not really in that bad of a spot. I get kind of like that.
Okay.
So that's sort of how you can prevent yourself from being pushed into the corner, which is like that state where you don't like because you get pressured and you want to roll and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then, so kind of the way this matchup goes is that Falco is going to do like lasers on you, and he's going to like sort of try to make things happen. And your goal is to make like, sure, Falco can run around in neutral and he can shoot you with lasers and cancel them and stuff, but any attempt he makes to really make something happen, that's when he needs to like worry about it. Like you're like kind of like, oh, I'm kind of chilling, but then he tried to approach after this laser and I got take laser fair and I killed him. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So okay, let me see the next spot I'll talk about. I'm hoping something will come up that I can talk about right here. Kind of. Yeah, so like if you're in a spot like this, as soon as you get Falco in the corner, it's basically pressure time for you, hitbox time for you. Falco's only options to get out of the corner are like a really good ledge dash or some sort of full hop to platform, and he kind of has to play this like long game to kind of get down. It's not very comfortable. It's either that or he just does like an approach out of the corner and kind of gets hit. So you want to do something very similar to what Falco does to you, which is that when you're in the corner and Falco just kind of zones you right here, you want to do that to Falco also. So you kind of want to like do the thing I was talking about, where if you think that Falco is going to approach, I would also not shield lasers backwards, like in that spot. That's one thing. I think the backwards power shield on the laser is only good if you're far enough away that when you wave dash back out of the laser, Falco can't hit you. If he's too close where you can get like the dash back power shield, like it's like yeah, that type of thing, like that's like really bad. And it's bad to be like shielding in that type of spot too most of the time. I think you can kind of like just dash here and then sort of set up like that same pressure with like the nair and the fair and stuff like that if he's going to approach out of the corner. And then sort of the idea is you create this setup where he's afraid of jumping in, but if he just kind of sits here, that's not very good either. So they feel like this need to like either go in or maybe shoot a laser. And then this is the type of position where if you weren't shielding, you can just sort of throw out an F smash or start spamming moves, kind of, because if they do like a jump here, they'll just get caught out of it and insta die.
Okay. One.
And also, I apologize. The explanations aren't perfect. Like I said, I don't talk about this matchup that often, so I'm doing my best to kind of like bring it together.
That's all good. Yeah, a lot of it's making sense. One thing is, you said that like when I have Falco in the corner there, it should be good. That's. I mean, I don't really see like I don't think there are any spots in this set where it comes up, but a problem I've had a lot with Falcos in the past was like on the power shield training, how you can like change the speeds.
Okay, I've never really used it, but
On the well, I guess on the Uncle Punch training, it's not important really, but you can like set the speed to very fast, and it's basically just like a Falco just like
shooting lasers like max speed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had an issue with Falcos doing that and just like not coming in, and it's like I guess I can try, like especially like when I get them cornered, it just does not feel like, haha, I got you. It feels more like them just being like, okay, you can't really break through this because like you can like take a gamble with like an F smash or like a rising fair, but like they still have shield and they still have like stuff to deal with that, and they can like full hop and like side B teeter on like that top plat and stuff. Like getting Falco in the corner, or like it's very more like man to man as opposed to like positional, is how it feels anyway. But like getting Falco in the corner or like making him like go back, just I'm not really sure what like to do about that because it never really feels like I have him pinned.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was too vague.
I'm trying to process it. Um. Well, the corner's not a free win, but it takes away a lot of his options. Like he can't jump away, and if he gets hit by anything, he's instantaneously off stage. And so that is like what makes the position good. It's not that the corner is like, oh, if Falco makes it out of the corner, then you messed up. It's just like a position where you have an advantage because Falco has limited options.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
So,
more. That's a
and it's the same thing from Falco end, where from the Falco end, where like when you have Marth in the corner, it feels really like, oh, big trap on Marth in the corner, and then they just kind of like get a full hop to the side plat that you didn't read, and you're like, oh, okay, they kind of got out. And so that'll just happen all the time, but it's more so that like when they're in the corner, they have a very limited set of options that you can play around, and it just and they're more vulnerable in general. And so just it's playing the same game as usual, but they have higher risk and they have less tools. And
okay.
the other thing I wanted to mention is that when you fight a Falco, so the main difficulty fighting Falco as Marth is when they're just kind of on you, and you just like, dude, just leave me alone. The Falco who kind of like laser camps or whatever is actually kind of good for Marth. It's not okay. It's maybe not on like a theoretical level. It's always good for Marth if they have like perfect, but on like a practical level, it is good for Marth. And the reason is that it gives you a lot of control. Uh, Basically you can kind of get in their face, and then if they want to keep their whole like laser scheme going, a lot of times they have to make kind of questionable decisions or play the mix up. Like a better reduction of it is that Falco's strength in this matchup is choosing when the mix-ups happen with the lasers. But if all they're doing is shooting lasers, then you're the one who gets to choose when the mix-ups happen, and that takes away Falco's advantage.
Okay, I like that explanation.
And yeah, this is what happens when Falco is in the corner. Like this is why this is why the corner is so good, because anything goes wrong and Falco is instantaneously dead.
We ignore those.
Yeah, so this is like a spot where like if you think Falco is going to come in on you right now, then there. Because they're gonna jump, right? They're not gonna run in. They're gonna jump. So you're like, either they're gonna jump in place, retreating jump, or a jump in. And if you think they're gonna jump in, then do a wall.
Okay, that's kind of clicking. Like just thinking of the jumps more just as like kind of reducing it to just like forward or backwards or in place.
Yeah, because that's kind of how the Falco feels. Is like there's not that many options. It's like, and they just try to kind of mix up the timing on them. So this was like, okay, laser, instant approach. And so it's like, let's say you feel that after this laser, like, okay, so this does happen quite a bit where you get in this exact like range where there's not really like you don't really have time to get an air out. You know what I mean? Like you feel like if you kind of like try to get an air out, a lot of times Falco will be able to like stuff it in time or something like that because they landed this low laser and they're really up close and stuff like that. I think you can still sometimes do the dash and shield, but honestly, a lot of times in this position, I will literally just full dash away. Just like
Okay.
full get out of there. And the most they can do is full approaching laser, and you'll be under the side plat, which isn't even like a bad position for you.
Okay. And
But I don't like I don't like the see if you dashed in and shielded here, I would be like, ooh, proactive shield. But just sort of shielding in place is not. This isn't a good option. You definitely want to just get out of there if you can.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
When I was looking at just like the still shot, like my thought was like, yeah, I should just dash back there, but and then like they'll just come in with like a laser or a nair or something. But my like second gut reaction was like dash back and then power shield, which was something like that would put me like kind of underneath the other, like the inner edge of the other side plat. And earlier you said that that was kind of a no-no. But like when I'm dashing back, is it just like dash back, take the laser, and dash back again, or is it just dash back, take the laser, and
So the
play
reason
that?
I don't like the power shield there is that if Falco did the approaching laser and shot a high laser, so you couldn't power shield it, then like you're now shielding here, facing away from Falco, with Falco right on top of you.
Okay, yeah,
And so the idea is that like if you got lasered at a range where you can wall and keep Falco's approaching jump out, then good. And then you can probably play that position. If you get lasered at a range and like a low laser and stuff where you don't have time to get your wall out, then like usually the best option is to just get away, because in order to like Falco might gain some space, but in order to actually fight you, he wants to set up those good, like this is why the Falco immediately jumped in after the laser, was because this was clearly like a range where you weren't able to get like a wall out. So the Falco is like hits the laser and they're like, yes, it's time to like really fight now. And so in those types of spots, usually I think it's best you just leave completely and you just reset the neutral of like, okay, we'll play again, but this time I'll make sure you laser me at a range where I actually can wall.
okay,
So it's just like a spot you don't want to be in, so it's just like, leave, we'll play the next laser spot. Hmm. So it's a bit of a weird spot. I wouldn't super expect Falco to dash in immediately after the power shielded laser, because normally in this type of spot they will dash away because they assume Marth is like, you just like basically you got a power shield here, and what's the best way to describe it? You get the power shield, you can't dash forward out of this. Falco knows it. Like your options out of this are either wave dash. Like, wave dash to ledge, bad. Full hop to plat, fine, stalemate. Falco's good. Wave dash in, Falco's pogging. They're going to tear you apart. Or short hop aerial. So most of the time after you power shield in this position, the Falco will... because you don't have room to wave dash back, the Falco will assume you're going to do like a short hop aerial here. So that's just something to watch out for. This Falco didn't, but that... I mean, they still got the exact read, so maybe they did. Oof. Pretty small detail, but because the stall is very risky for Falco and kind of like uncomfortable to do, I would recommend making your recovery like take as long as possible. Like when you have your double jump and stuff like that. Like I would do like stall. Honestly, the stall here you would have gotten back aired if they were really good, but I would make sure like to do the double jump and you just do full double jump, then fall out of it and then up B again. Most of the time that's better. Falco a lot of times will do like grab ledge into instant mix up, or grab ledge one refresh instant mix up. And the longer you make them wait and the more like potential refreshes they might have to do, the scarier it gets for them. So it's just kind of like a general rule that helps a little bit.
okay.
Yeah, this is exactly that thing where you get lasered at this range. This is like a short hop nair type of angle, or short hop fair or something like that, usually the nair, and not a dash back, because the dash back doesn't actually, like, you're not actually going to beat anything here unless you get literally the perfect, like, you were looking for like the power shield grab, I guess, which is kind of fine. But most of the time, if Falco's doing, it's tricky because the bat, like a lot of times Falcos will give you the power shield grab here, but I'm happy that this one didn't. Falco can shoot a laser height that Marth can't power shield, and it's just like this high one, like it literally happens here. And if this happens, you will just get shined out of this grab unless they mess up. And so I think like while it can work, I would definitely prefer you do some sort of like wall there. And the other thing is I think the dash back type of shield, type of like pivot grab options are something that like you can kind of sneak in later. But I think the walling is such a major part and such like Marth actually plays this matchup with really broad strokes most of the time. You don't actually have to super focus on the micro until like the really high level. The micro is almost entirely in Falco's court. So you don't have to super worry about the exact precision of things. You kind of want to let them worry about it. You want to play a lot more in like, oh, are they approaching? Hitbox. Are they staying in place? Wait. Are they staying in place still? Approaching hitbox. You know? Like jump into the laser forward air type thing.
Okay.
You don't need to worry too much about like, oh, I'm going to dash back and get this like perfect power shield and get the grab, because like Falco's just, he has to deal with the specifics. Okay, one thing here, this is like a spot where like I just don't like just dash dance grab in general against Falco is more of a read than people wish it was. Like I think that like just the fact that Falco has drift options here, fade back, fast fall, it's just really awkward to like try to grab this. They can do like down air jab, maybe not at this percent because you're at really low percent and they can't really get the jab here, but it's just gonna miss way more often than like, I actually think the perfect option here is this dash back pivot forward smash, like right here, just boom, because it hits this whole thing. Or dash the forward smash only because it kills here, but I think the nair would have been good too. You know, like dash back approaching nair, dash back approaching fair, something like that. Those just have so much range, or not range, but they have the window. Like the window that you can actually hit Falco in is the entire time in the air, and all of his landing lag. And even if he does somehow land, his only real option to beat the sword is to shield it, in which case you have a pressure anyway. Whereas when you go for the grab, you're literally like, oh, I'm gonna grab your landing lag. Like your 9 frames of landing lag that you can mix up to do at different timings and spacings. And it just makes your job way more precise, way harder, and way easier to get reversal from. Okay. I love that crouch jump into laser fair. The little things are great. Like those. Let's just add in little extra free wins. Okay.
Real quick, I don't know how we're doing on time. I don't remember exactly when we started, but
I think we have like 15 minutes. Yeah, we have about 15 minutes left. So about 3/4 through.
I do want to. Yeah, we can force through. I just want to at one point want to be able to take a look at. It's a reverse 3-0, and the last 2 FD games are not pretty.
Okay, we should probably check it out right now then.
Okay.
Which one am I looking at?
Yeah. Either game 4 or 5.
Pick one.
4.
Cool.
Oh wait, sorry. Of this set. My bad.
Oh, of this set. My bad. I don't know why I thought you were saying it was the other set, or like the other set you sent me.
No, okay. I fucked up on FD on the other set. But this one was bad. This was not pretty.
Okay. Okay, so far I like how you're playing this. This is good. Like the matchup is low key. You just kind of sit with this for like a while, and then you randomly throw out like an attack, and then a lot of times it'll hit. And so I think this is good where you kind of approach there with the nair. That was really good. You low key just like lost like a weird read neutral thing. This is not something to really worry about. Right there. Okay. The roll here was honestly kind of acceptable. Just like the timing of it, like I felt the roll for sure. Like immediately after the aerial. Not It's not perfect, but like I see how it happened. It's not a huge deal.
You said like this matchup will be like holding that space until I find a time to attack,
Yeah,
but
like Loki in this spot, you should just go to ledge and spend like 20 seconds getting back up.
okay.
Like that's just kind of how it goes if you wanted to play it like really perfect.
I feel like whenever I play, it's has a different feeling. I feel like I'm just constantly like trying to find a spot where I feel comfortable stopping like the jump in and then like just always stop the jump in with a way that could like so like I'll do like a lot of nair in place to stop the jump in and then like if they laser and then I can still do like the take laser fair. But like I'm not really like attacking. It's just like it feels like a lot of like finding a position, like trying to get into a position where I can like do a nair that's comfortable, and then if I'm not in that position, it's like a scramble kind of, but like it's either walling or like positional play. Like I never feel like I'm like gonna go get them. Like you said, like holding the space until you attack, but I feel like I don't attack. I'm just like preventing approaches in ways that could like lead to a knockdown or something. Like I'm
Yes.
never.
Mm-hmm.
It's never like part of my intentional game plan to like, oh, he's toast there. I'm gonna go.
So
Yeah.
one thing that might help is I I think every single time Falco jumps, you should be like registering it. Like you should be like jump in place, approaching jump, jump in place, jump in place, approaching jump. And when there's like
Okay.
a pattern where there's too many jumps in place, that's a lot of times when you're gonna get them.
Mm-hmm.
You'll
Okay.
get like a power shield, wave dash, and dash attack like randomly or something like that. And you just kind of like let it rip when it's time to let it rip. Marth doesn't have a way to like safely full approach type thing. It's more like you get really comfortable in this rhythm where you're like, well, you're gonna have to do more jumps in place because I'm covering approaching jump. And then when you kind of get a feel for when they're doing like the jump in place, that's when you start getting the mixes. You start getting like dash into laser, like you get dash in, take laser, forward smash, knock down, tech chase, that like at like mid low percent, that type of thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oof, you gotta hold this corner. You have the corner right here, big corner hold. Like this is also something I went over the other day with somebody. Is that if you ever see Falco shoot a laser and it goes at this height, this one, if you ever see this laser, you should as fast as you can react and immediately just attack them. They will not
So
be able to do anything about it. It's not always easy to hit this reaction, but if you ever see this laser, immediately attack.
okay.
You will be able to
Okay.
get underneath them before they can do anything.
Yeah, it's like dash attack or anything right
Yeah,
there.
anything.
Good.
Right here, you clearly feel that they're approaching, but you dash back instead of attacking. This would have been
Okay.
a great fair or a nair, and if as long as you mix up your fair and nair, like I would say sometimes do like a fair and then slightly drift in with it, sometimes slightly drift back, sometimes in place, that type of thing. As long as you just mix up the fair and nair a little bit, Falco has a really tough time actually like directly punishing them.
Okay. Is there like when you say mixing up like the fair, you're talking about like the drift and like the fast fall timing and stuff, but like are there I feel like I get that feeling sometimes and I do it, but A, it's not consistent. Like I don't feel like it's like the thing to do always. And then B, I don't know if
Which
there's
thing?
like mixing up like like whenever I have a Falco in the corner and like I know to like to wall there, like I'll
Mm-hmm.
just do like a nair in place and then like take laser fair, or I'll just do like short hop and then like wait and then do like a super late fair like on their shield when he's got him
Mm-hmm.
like right in the corner or something. And it's like that fair, I don't see like the value in like drifting back when I wouldn't like just for the sake of mixing it up, just for the sake of like saying unpredictable, like why wouldn't I just go for like what I think would hit? Like why would I like intentionally do something else just for the sake of like being unpredictable when I already have like a good read or a guess of like what
The
I think.
reason is that Falco has to deal with all the details. And so if you strictly move in positions that are perfectly rational, Falco can like get rid of the details. Falco can be like, "Oh, they're just going to do this extremely good option right here. So I will space exactly here and place this laser exactly here and I will land exactly out of their range here." But if you just slightly mix up where you're landing and exactly when and where you're naring and fairing, Falco's the one who needs to react to slight drift back with a slightly different aerial placement or whatever. And that like slight chaos of not knowing exactly where you are or exactly what you're gonna do is so difficult for Falco to deal with. He's an extremely precise character. That's kind of why.
Okay.
And you have this big sword, like you have big nair, big fair. So even if you slightly mix up your drift, then like, they'll still protect you and hit a lot of times. You just don't want to like if the positions become too sterile, Falco definitely wins. Or like Falco will win most positions if they're like if you played it on like a chessboard. Falco's so good at that. That's like his strength as a character. So your job is to make it not a chessboard.
Okay. Yeah, that yeah, I like that explanation.
So like when you were saying like you do the nair into like the fair, um, what's the negative result of that? Like what could really go wrong there, you know?
Um like how does are you asking like how does Falco beat Nair take laser fair?
Yeah, like most of the time, if you mix up your drift on it and he's in the corner, you can kind of just do it over and over again. Like, there's not a lot that he can do to really get you out of it.
I feel like I get got the most by like either they'll like run up and then like jump at me after like before the fair and then they'll shine like you know what I'm talking about, like I'll take the laser and then like they'll kind of stuff
Yeah,
out the
they'll
fair.
aerial you before the fair comes out.
Yeah, like shine or they'll do something like that, which I'm okay with getting hit by that. That's like just like
Mm-hmm.
misspacing, but like they'll also like they have other stuff like they can just like shoot lasers in place like after the fair, and then like if they're like right outside the tipper length of like my fair and they hit me with the laser and they're not getting hit by the fair, like it still feels like a good position for them. But
Yeah,
then
so if they hit you on the ground right as your fair, like during the landing leg of fair and you get a good range, that is like they super won that position, and what that earns them is you dash away to center and they gain a tiny bit of space.
okay,
And they had to do like like you do that the full dash away that I talked about. And so that does get them out of the corner, but it or like somewhat, but it won't give them a big win. And the other
okay.
part with the Nair like take laser fair or whatever, think about like maybe I could show it in Uncle Punch. I feel like I can just describe it. Basically, in order to get laser Nair or laser fair, whatever, before Marth's fair comes out, Falco has to be crazy precise. Like crazy to actually get there. And so Falco needs to verify that like the laser hits and then the nair will hit you on like the first frame of the nair as it's coming out. And so like imagine like Falco does a short hop nair and you're right here, it'll hit you on the first frame. But let's say you mixed up your drift and spacing slightly and you're here instead. So Falco has to move through the air horizontally for just a few frames before the nair reaches you. Then you get a
Mhm.
free fair out of that and you kill them.
Okay.
And it's just like, whoa, that's really rough for Falco. And that part of the drift mix up is like this. When you take the laser, it resets your drift. And so sometimes drifting back here with a fair and drifting full in with the fair and sometimes going straight down with the fair is the mix up here. If you don't mix this up enough, Falco will eat you alive for the take laser fair. If you mix up
Okay.
the drift out of it, it becomes massively Marth favored out of that spot.
The last like point I wanted to mention with like how do they beat that is I don't know if anyone's told you this, but laser crouch is dumb. It's so good. Like I
Yeah,
feel like that's
yeah.
also like another thing. Like if I can't like below like 40 or like even maybe like 50, like that fair has to tipper or I'm eating like crouch run up JC Shine or something. Like I feel like I get got by that too. So like I'll come down like with like take laser nair like nair take laser and like come down shield or something and it just sucks.
Mm-hmm. Um, you're saying they're saying they laser and then they crouch, and then you do the fair, and then they're going for dash JC shine.
Yeah, they'll CC the fair and then just like I mean not as dash JC Shine is like an example like but like they'll CC that fair like
Mm-hmm.
the non-tippered fair under 40 and then it just feels bad like I just am toast. Like,
If they can't CC shine you, they can't like consistently punish the fair. It's too quick. If you just drift back slightly, so you're not right. Okay, what I'll say is that if you're right on top of them, you can do a late down air. And then if you're
okay.
not right on top of them, you can just drift back late fair dash back and you'll be safe. Like almost all the time. Falco, it's one of the most frustrating parts of the matchup for Falco compared to Fox is that like Fox CCing Marth fair just does like instant dash JC shine, no problem, or instant dash grab. Falco doesn't have a fast enough dash into grab, and his JC shine is mad slow because of the 5 frame jump squat and the number of frames he actually has to dash to get close enough to you to hit it. And he has to read the exact timing on your fair, which I guess if you're doing it after the laser exactly every time is a little like is kind of consistent, but a lot of times you're gonna miss it by like a frame or two on like the take laser fair. It's not gonna be exactly the same frame data every time. And so like unless he can literally CC and then you weak fair on his head and he gets a shine, you're pretty safe as long as you like do your inputs correctly. Oh, what I was gonna
Okay.
say is one of the most irritating parts is laser crouch is so good at like not dying to Marth, and it never gets you anything if the Marth is spacing right, and it's like a very upsetting part of the matchup as Falco because it feels like oh laser crouch like what is he even gonna do, and it's like well he'll hit you and do 5 damage and then you can't hit him back is what it feels like.
Okay. I guess I'll just yeah, probably need to tighten up that spot then. Make sure I
Yeah,
get my dash back like fast enough then.
yeah, I would say just like jump into laser and then drift back with the fair is so difficult for the Falco to like read and deal with in general. I think that's like a really strong one. I think the drift in fair is more of like you're like kind of reaching for them like come on I'm gonna get you. Whereas like like the drift back after the laser is more of like a safe pressure of like what was Falco gonna do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. We have, I think, 5 or 6 more minutes. I want to make sure that like you don't feel confused on any of this, or like you don't feel like there's any sort of missing point left in terms of like what I've talked about. So like, how are you doing? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking that you've made a lot of like really good points about like things I should be looking for,
Mm-hmm.
but like how do I word this? It's like I feel like whenever I okay, so like whenever I like practice something,
Mm-hmm.
how it usually goes is like, oh, cool, Zane did Power Shield Nair. That actually makes a lot of sense why that works. I'm just gonna spam Power Shield Nair in friendlies, and then it'll just kind of get me results. Um, but like whenever it involves like just like a different way of thinking about the matchup, it just does not feel like the I can just spam this way of thinking and then it will work. That's I don't think I'm phrasing it right. Uh,
Hmm.
hmm.
Like,
I guess
how do you think? Oh yeah, go for it.
I guess if you were this is something my math teacher did in elementary school, I really liked it, but he said if you learned nothing today, like like take at least this home with you, and then he would give us like the formula for like the area of a triangle or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what's like my one thing that I can just like go and just like nonstop think about versus a Falco for like an hour as I grind friendlies. My gut reaction is just like kind of like keep like a list in my head of like are they jumping forwards in place or back because that's just never something I've even thought about. And then also like using shield proactively.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then it's like walling more.
So I would say replace the shield proactively and the walling more thing with be proactive at punishing. Like, don't be passive when you have a read on Falco. Like, if you read Falco's jumping in, punish the jump in. Don't be like, well, they're gonna jump in and then I'll land and then I'll punish it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I would say be proactive on punishing what you think they're going to do. If you think they're going to do like a jump in place, then try to set up something on the jump in place. If you think they're gonna jump in, try to actually do something on the jump in. Don't try to be like, well, I'll hit you out of your lag for your thing. Try to win by like doing things. I would say that like that is like the worst thing that can happen in this matchup is what is happening here, where you're just doing everything according to Falco's pace. Where you're like, well, Falco does this, so I'll counter that, and Falco does this, so I'll counter that, and being very like passive about it, rather than being like, okay, I think I'm in a position where I can like get Falco to do this, or I can like kind of make Falco do that. Like you're kind of running around a lot, like especially as it gets later in the game, like after this first stock. Well, okay, so you kind of either do what Falco's doing or you're doing like random grabs, which is also not good. Like that was like a little bit of it too, like that. Like you're just gonna kind of get eaten up for those. Um,
Yeah, the FD brain rot is real.
yeah, it's like no, it happens. That's pretty much. I think it was the next stock that I was watching. I'll give you a good summary. Okay, yeah, there's another grab. Maybe this isn't the best example of that. Yeah, you're just going for stuff and getting hit. Never mind. Okay, so this is an example of you not playing the situations that we like. Like we're not playing these long neutral interactions with walls. We're just kind of like throwing stuff out and scrambling. That's what Falco wants. Falco would love a laserless battle with Marth, where you're both just like standing next to each other spamming buttons. Falco loves that. Um, okay, let me go back to the summary. So, let's see what's a way I can summarize it that would work. Okay, the number one thing I would say to remember, and I'll write it down, is paint in broad strokes. Make Falco deal with the details. That's like the biggest part of this matchup is don't be like detail brained about it. Like you could use all those detailed things you thought of, and you know they'll be more useful later once you have sort of like the fundamental setup. But I would say make sure you paint in broad strokes, make Falco deal with the details. Be proactive about punishing Falco approaches, wall more, or dashing shield instead of dashing away. Don't let Falco corner you no matter what, but avoid rolling. So I wrote those three notes down. I'm trying to think of like something that you can spam. I would say it's less about necessarily having like there's nothing specific like move wise that you could use that would like suddenly fix this problem. It's
Hmm.
more of an issue of you like not like processing what's happening from like with Falco. Like you're if you try to play Marth against Falco, kind of like slow Fox with lasers, you end up in a lot of like positions where you're like, oh, the laser kind of caught me off guard. I was trying to like dash back and just grab that or something like that, and
Yeah.
it feels like you're not fully processing Falco as like his own character who doesn't deal with the game in the same way as Fox. It's a lot more about using your aerials to kind of keeping him from like jumping around the way he wants, more so than like trying to bait him into like jumping in on you or whatever. Um
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's
That's
like you want to be more fluent in Falco of like, oh, the Falco kind of wants to jump in here. I'll punish that. Oh, they feel kind of threatened here. They want to like retreating lasers, so I'll take some space on that. And like focusing on like how to deal with those, but like not just how can I get out of Falco's way when Falco moves to this position, but how can I prevent Falco from moving to the position that they want. That is like a big reduction of it.
okay. I like that explanation. That makes sense.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Don't punish Falco for... What was the exact wording I used? I'm gonna write it down. Do you remember?
Um,
We can catch it in the VOD.
yeah. No, I
If you feel like it's good, then that's fine. We can watch the VOD later.
yeah. I got some long commutes coming up. So I can
Okay.
just listen to this.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to add right at the end. No, that's mostly it. I definitely just getting the impression that you're kind of playing it like the Fox matchup or like trying to react to his positions without reacting to like the actual ways that Falco has to like Falco has to deal with Marth's tools in specific ways. And so step 1 is like make sure that Falco is dealing with your tools right, and then once they are, then we play this little game that we like talked about. You know, like well first you get the walling in, and then once you have the wall set up where they can't just jump in every time and murder you, they have to mix up in place and going in. You start counting those. You start worrying about it. Kind of like counting Puff's jumps. You count the way Falco jumps, like in or out or in place. And that's just like a little bit me going over the same stuff again. But okay, do you have any final questions or thoughts before we end the lesson? I went like 10 minutes over, but it's low key on me, so it's fine.
No. I like to keep it short and simple. I think I have a good amount to go off of. So
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. I will talk to you later. You can send me any clips or questions if you get confused about something. Feel free.
okay, yeah. No, take you up on that for sure.
All right, sounds good. Hope you have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Peace.